English teacher. I am Leandri, but I will also go by Leah. That is my nickname. That's what everybody calls me. So I always also go by Leah. And that's how I look, if you were wondering. Now, today's lesson is going to be punctuation marks. We use different punctuation marks for different things when we are writing. So it makes it easier to read a sentence or a text. So without a punctuation mark, you can't write and you can't read. Otherwise, everything is going to be one big sentence, and that's going to be very difficult to read. So what we are going to do is we are going to see the different punctuation marks. You've been doing this for a few years now, I believe. So it's basically going to be a recap of punctuation marks you already know when and where to use it. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to see the different punctuation marks and when to use it, and then we're going to do a punctuation exercise. So the first punctuation is we are going to use question marks, exclamation marks, a full stop, commas, and quotation marks. Now, the first one is a question mark. Now, when do we use a question mark? We use question marks to ask a question, like, is it cold outside? Do you have a sweater? Any sentence you write that is a question, you always use a question mark at the end. Then we use question marks to indicate an uncertainty. If you're asking a question with uncertainty, or if you're writing a sentence with uncertainty, then we also use a question mark. Like, you were born in 2007. Or if you, the next one is in a series of questions. You also use a question mark at the end of each sentence when you use a series of questions. Like, he's been hospitalized, question mark, why, question mark. And then the end of a tag question. We have never seen that, have we? Question mark. So we use question marks after you ask any question. So you know how a question mark looks. You have used a question mark before. Now the next one is an exclamation mark. We use an exclamation mark to express strong feelings or emotions such as shock, surprise, anger, or a raised voice. So, there you are, or stop, don't do that. But we also use an exclamation mark when we give a command, like sit down, keep your mouth shut, don't do that. That is when we use an exclamation mark. Now the next one is a full stop. It's also called a period. That is the easiest one. You've used it almost your entire life since you've been writing and since you've been reading. So we use a full stop at the end of every sentence. If there isn't a full stop, it's not the end of the sentence. So read this book. But we also use a full stop at the end of an abbreviation, or when using abbreviations, like I will see you at 7 A point N point. So that is a different way when we use a full stop or a period. the next one we use is a comma. We use a comma when we want to pause between sentences. So, I was hungry, comma, so I made myself a sandwich. Or, I went outside, comma, but it was extremely cold. Okay, so that is a different way we use a comma. And we also use a comma to separate 3 or more times in a list. So I want some candy, comma, chips, and soda. So every time you list something more than 3 times, like okay, can we unmute her? Okay, can we unmute her? Yeah. I'm just going to continue. At the end, when you have a question, just raise your hand again, and then I will unmute you. Sorry, it's my first class I'm giving, so I will unmute you, and then we will ask. Everybody can get a chance to ask questions. So I'm just going to continue. We have the last one coming up, and then you can just raise your hand again, and I will unmute you. Okay. So the comma that we're using now, the one I said with the 3 different, to separate 3 or more times in a list. You can use that for a lot of different ones. Like if there's not 3, if there's 6 things you want to list, like normally I wear a jacket, comma, denim, comma, a t-shirt, comma, a hat, and shoes. So it's not necessarily 3, it can be a lot of different things. But the last one, before you say and, you never use a comma. Okay. So we are just going to go to the next slide. Okay. And a quotation mark. Okay. A quotation mark. Now, we use a quotation mark at the beginning of a sentence. Oh, sorry, I don't know where the rest of that one is. Let me just find it. Sorry. Okay, there it is. Okay. We use a quotation mark at the beginning or an end of a sentence to indicate that it's written exactly as it's spoken or written. So, quotation mark, I don't want to eat dinner, quotation mark, said Peter. Or quotation mark, I don't want to go to school, quotation mark, said Zoe. Okay. Or we use quotation marks with direct and indirect speech. She says, quotation mark, I am ill, quotation mark. Or he said, quotation mark. I feel lost, quotation mark. Okay. I am going to unmute you and then you can ask me your question.
Ma'am, I don't really have a question, but then isn't a quotation mark marks that you put like in case someone is like in a story and someone is saying something and you put it at the beginning and at the end of the sentence?
Yes, that's exactly what the quotation mark is. That is an indication that says to you, this person is speaking directly. That's
Okay.
exactly what that is.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Hi, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Did you find your rain boots? You put an exclamation question mark.
Yes.
The yellow duck is yellow. We put a full stop.
At the okay, let me just go back, then you can explain to me what you're saying. Okay. Let's go back at the quotation, at the question mark. Away. Okay. Michaela?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you say? What was the problem? Let me just see.
Ma'am, I didn't have any problem.
Okay, no, no, it's fine. I just want to know what the question was.
Ma'am, the question was, did you find your rain boots?
Arrangements.
No, ma'am. Did you find your rain boots?
Did you find your sorry, okay, I'm with you. Did you find your rain boots is also a question.
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
okay, that is a question. Is that what you wanted to know?
Ma'am, I was answering.
Okay, are you answering my question? Did you find your rain boots? Question mark. Okay, I understand. Sorry, like I said, I'm still a little bit lost. So you are answering me that did you find your rain boots? Question mark. Okay, I'm with you. Sorry.
The duck is yellow. We put a full stop.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to mute you again, and then I'm going to unmute the next one. Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Okay. Do you want to answer the next question?
It's full stop.
Do you think it's a full stop, or do you think if it's raining outside, maybe you're going to say, hurry, it's raining.
Exclamation mark.
Exclamation mark, yes. Okay, I'm going to go to the next one.
Yes.
Okay. So the next question, do you want to fly a kite?
Hi, ma'am.
Hello? Okay.
The answer for do you want to fly a kite is you have to put in a question mark.
Yes, that's perfect. Okay, so the next one. It's so windy. Who wants to answer that one? Two.
But for now. Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine, thanks, and you?
I'm good, thank you. Ma'am,
Okay.
the answer is, it is so windy. The answer is full stop.
Yes, that is right. Okay, so the next one, let's see who also raise their hands. Okay, so the last one is Sally likes rainy days.
Full stop.
Full stop. Yes. Okay. Now what I want to talk to you about is, like we did this exercise, I want you to see that different sentences like it's so windy, that can be a full stop or an exclamation mark. If you think that it's going to be just me telling you, oh, it's so windy outside, then it can be a full stop. But if I'm in the wind and my hair is blowing everywhere, what am I going to do? I am going to say, ah, it's so windy. And then it's going to be an exclamation mark. So you can use different punctuation marks for the same sentence, and it's going to change the meaning of the sentence. Okay. I'm going to go back and unmute you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Do you have a question?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it keeps popping up that your hand is raised. So I'm just going to see that. Okay. Do any of you have a question about punctuation marks? Anything you want to know, anything you want to see, or anything that you are still not sure about? Please ask questions. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the first slide again. Okay, let me just unmute you, and I'm going to, then you can ask me a question.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks, and you?
Good. I'm wondering, what if you're starting a question, but you write in the sentence, the question, then a question mark, then an exclamation mark?
At this moment, we don't really do that. When you get a little bit bigger, then you will do that also. But at this moment, we never do that because otherwise you get confused. So at this moment, we just use a question mark or an exclamation mark.
I get confused in my books.
Are you getting confused in your books?
Yes.
Okay, but that is why we don't use this at the moment. And that's why then you must be very, very intelligent, because your books are a little bit more, how do you say, advanced than what normal kids at your age are reading. So that's why you get a little bit confused. But at this moment, we don't use an exclamation mark and a question mark at the same time. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next question. Just waiting for you to unmute. Okay.
Ma'am?
Ma'am, when we
Okay.
put
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Okay. Hello, just one at a time. Let's begin with.
Hello.
Okay. What questions do you have?
It's me and my cousin, ma'am.
Okay, what questions do you have?
Why is inverted commas and quotation marks different?
Just ask the question again. I lost you a
Why
bit.
is quotation marks and inverted commas different?
Quotation marks and inverted commas different.
Yeah, why?
Okay, I'm going to. Okay, that is basically the same thing. Okay, it's basically the same thing. I just call them quotation marks, but it's also known as quote marks, speech marks, or inverted commas. So it's basically the same thing, but I prefer to use quotation marks because it's easier for me to tell you it's a quotation mark, but it's basically the same thing.
Okay, ma'am. Why do you have to use punctuation?
Why do you want? Do you need to use punctuation marks? Sorry, you're breaking up. I'm struggling to hear you.
Okay. Bye, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
Ma'am, why do we need to use punctuation marks?
Why do you need to use punctuation marks? Because if you don't use punctuation marks, it's going to be very difficult to read or to write. So imagine you take a text and there's no points, no commas, no exclamation mark, and no question marks. Imagine a text that looks like that. Then you will see that it's going to be very difficult to read. Let me show you. I'm going to type here, so maybe you can understand why I'm saying that. I'm just going to add a new slide so you can. Okay. So maybe you can understand why I'm telling you that. Sorry, everything is slow. But because you use punctuation marks, it makes it easier to read and to write and to see what's going on. If there's no punctuation marks is going to be very difficult. I'm going to show you now. Let me just delete that. Imagine I am telling you
Very interesting.
okay. Now, if you look at that sentence, let me just, I'm going to just make it a little bit bigger. If you look at that sentence, okay, there is no punctuation marks there. If
Yes,
you wrote, if you must read an entire page that looks like that, do you think it's going to be difficult?
Kind of.
Okay. If it was me and I wanted to use exclamation or punctuation marks, I would say today was a very interesting day. Full stop. And automatically the D is going to be a capital letter D. Do you
I'm gonna
know?
phone you back now. I just need to put something off.
Do you know? Do you want to know what I did? Question mark. So I went to the shops, comma, ate cookies and rode a bike. And then it's going to be a punctuation mark. A full stop. Now, if you look at that sentence, does it read easier? Is it easier to read this sentence with the punctuation marks, or was it easier to read it without them? And that is why a punctuation mark is so important. If we don't have them, it's going to be one long sentence. So I'm just going to recap the different punctuation marks we used today. So the punctuation marks we used is a question mark that we always use at the end of any question. Or if it's a series of questions, or to indicate an uncertainty, or to end a tag question. So that is when we use different quotation marks. Then your exclamation mark is to express strong feelings or emotions such as shock, surprise, anger, or a raised voice. If we don't use exclamation marks, it will just be stop, don't do that, or there you are. But when we use exclamation marks, it gives that emotions or that feelings you have life, and we use it to command something like stop. Imagine that you're going to run over the road and there's a car coming and someone just says to you stop, instead of saying stop, don't do that. So that's why exclamation marks are very important. Full stops are important to end a sentence, to end a book, to end any sentence you have. And it's also important for the abbreviations. I'm going to unmute you. Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Do you have a question?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry, we raised our hand. We only have an answer.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to continue. The comma is just so it makes reading easier. The example sentences are short, so it doesn't matter that much. But if a sentence becomes too long, it gets very difficult to read. So that's why we use commas. I was hungry, so I made myself a sandwich, which I ate at the park in the storm. So if the sentence becomes too long, it becomes difficult to read and to get the entire sentence. Otherwise, it begins to become very difficult to read it. So that's why we use commas and to list things. And the last one we used today was the quotation marks or inverted commas, whatever you want to call it, but it's to indicate when a sentence is written exactly as it was spoken or written. So, I don't want to eat dinner, said Peter, will have quotation marks. Or, I want to go outside, says Sally, will have quotation marks. And then direct and indirect speech is she says, quotation mark, I am ill, quotation mark. Or anything like that. Anything that's direct speech or indirect speech. And then we did the quick exercise. Is there any questions regarding punctuation marks that I need to explain to you again, or that you don't really understand? Okay.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Okay.
So for example, when Peter said that he doesn't want to eat dinner, and if you are going to put a exclamation mark there and you also put the commas, do you ever do that in writing?
Yes, you do.
So do you put the quotation mark in the commas or outside the commas?
You put it inside the commas because it's something that is said. Like it's not something that's outside. It's not something extra. It's something he said with like, I'm asking you, do you want to play outside? Question mark.
Okay.
It's something I said to you. So do you understand why you use it? You put it inside. It's like putting a full stop inside the quotation marks.
Oh,
Do you
thank you, ma'am.
understand?
I understand. Yes.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, and the next one.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, ma'am, I don't have a question. Sorry.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, any other questions? Anything anybody wants to know? Nothing. Okay. Oh, there's one.
Ma'am,
Yes.
how do you know when you put an exclamation mark and a full stop?
You want to know when to use an exclamation mark and when to use a full stop. Okay.
Yes.
That is, like I told you earlier, sometimes a sentence can be a full stop or an exclamation mark, but I think especially if you're in the context of a story, or when you're reading it like this, like hurry, it's raining, then you can decide if it's going to be an exclamation mark or it's going to be a full stop. So if you're thinking to yourself now, hurry, it's raining, do you think it's something you are telling somebody to do quickly? Or are you going to say, hurry, it's raining? Or you're going to say, hurry, it's raining? So I think it's important to go and say the sentence to yourself in your head, and then you will see if it needs to be a full stop or an exclamation mark.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you do that, I think you will see that it's going to be either an exclamation mark or a full stop.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Unmute. Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, my question was, what is our next lesson tomorrow?
What is your next lesson tomorrow? You know what? I'm not sure yet. Yesterday I got the call that says you need an English teacher. So yesterday evening late I did this lesson. So once I'm done here, I will figure out your next lesson for tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, do we have homework for today?
No, you're not going to have homework for today. I will give you homework tomorrow. If you're not going to have homework for today, I just thought maybe we can recap this, because I believe you already did this. And just like I said, it was my first lesson on this platform, so I just wanted to get to know you and recap this. So from tomorrow you will have homework.
Ma'am,
Yes.
so ma'am, aren't you supposed to be somewhere in the middle of the lesson? Like, aren't you supposed to be like doing a little work, a little bit more work about punctuation?
We are going to do punctuation again.
Mm-hmm. So for
If you
now,
want
we're
homework,
just talking about punctuation.
excuse me.
So we're just talking about punctuation.
I will give you punctuation homework. We will recap it again on Monday, and then I will give you an entire thing about punctuation. I will give you a lot of
Like a
homework
whole lesson
for
about
punctuation. If it's fine with you, like I said, it was just, I will promise you from Monday I will give you homework for punctuation. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Very kind.
Okay. is there anybody that has any other questions or requests? Something you want me to, is there anything, sorry, because it's my first lesson with you, is there anything that you feel like you lost, that you don't really understand, that I can recap for you? Anything like that? Okay. Just,
Ma'am,
yes,
ma'am, can we have your email?
my email. Okay, let me
Yes,
just
ma'am.
see. Okay, I'm just going to see here at the bottom. I think I put it there. Oh, no, I didn't. I'm going to put my email address for you. Yeah, so you can have it. See where I'm typing. Okay. There is my email address. I'm going to unmute you. Hello? Hello?
Ma'am, can you please give us homework?
I will give you homework. It's fine. I will give you homework. Okay.